joining me. Wonderful day in the high 10, vainglorious day, and a grand day for fellow Americans. My question to you all, did you vote? How many of you voted in this 24 election? Time is counting down. 7 o'clock will be the cutoff time to cast your ballot. Many people voted beforehand. About 83 million people have already voted in this 2024 election. So, did you Americans vote? If you didn't vote, why didn't you vote? Tell the Queen why you didn't vote. And who will be the prospective winner? Kamala Harris or number 45, who has already been in office previously for 4 years? If you'd like to donate to this great network, $Beganji129 Cash App, and also stickers and chats are welcome during this live stream. I will try to stay on before the countdown begins. I may come back on to count down the votes, but as they said, it takes a couple of days perhaps to do an exact tally. So I may just sit on the sidelines and watch and come back later with commentary. But thank you so much. Let's hear what ABC News has to say pertaining to this election day. Thank you for joining me.
16 electoral college votes is one of a handful of states that could be the deciding factor in this election. Michigan and Pennsylvania, with their combined 34 electoral votes, also critical states to watch tonight. So let's go to host and producer of the 538 Politics Podcast,
Did you vote,
Galen
Skylar?
Droop, for a little bit more on these pathways to victory. Galen, thanks as always for being on. Walk me through this path for Harris and Trump and the different options in front of them to make it to the White House.
Yeah, so the absolute sort of worst that Harris could do and still win this election is lose the Sun Belt, lose all across the South, Arizona, Nevada, Georgia, North Carolina, but still carry the Rust Belt, or the so-called Blue Wall, which is Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, which gets her to a 269-269 tie, but then that one extra electoral vote from Nebraska's 2nd district would put her at 270. So that is sort of the worst that Harris could do and still win. For Trump, his task is likely to win those southern battleground states that I just mentioned, but then just pull off one of those blue wall states. Right now, it looks like the closest is Pennsylvania, but I should say that over the past 2 election cycles, we've seen significant polling error in those upper battleground states, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. We saw it somewhere in the range of 8 or 9 point polling error in Wisconsin in 2020. So if the polls are off again and Trump is able to sort of sweep the Sun Belt and then pull off a state like Wisconsin or Pennsylvania, technically, if he were also able to get that 2nd congressional district in Nebraska, he could also get to 270. But I'll say that that looks far less likely. That's a really suburban, sort of highly educated area that used to vote Republican, but has quickly shifted towards Democrats.
But this election could also shift the balance of power in Congress, Galen. So what races should we be watching there?
Absolutely. So the House is on a knife's edge. Most of the forecasts suggest it's something like a 50-50 proposition, and it's likely that whoever wins the presidency may also win the House because fewer and fewer voters split their tickets. So in 2020, there were only 16 House districts that voted for one party for president and the other party for House. And Democrats just need to flip 4 seats in order to get there. The battleground for the House is something of a revenge of the coasts. There are a lot of competitive districts in states like New York and California. And to that point, I should say that if this race is close in the House, we may not know who wins that chamber for longer than the presidency because California counts its ballots particularly slowly. So if it does come down to California, it could be a long slog. And then, of course, in the Senate, West Virginia is extremely likely to flip to Republicans. If Trump wins, that means that they will have control of the chamber with just that one flip. If Harris wins, they'll need to flip one more. And all eyes are on Montana and Ohio for their best opportunities to flip Senate seats there. And of course, I also have to shout out Nebraska again, where there's a particularly close Senate race between a Republican and an independent. No Democrat running there.
Interesting.
Wow.
All right, 538's Galen Druk. And Galen, we can't let you leave without wishing you a happy birthday. The irony of how long we've been talking about this election, and I did not know Election Day is your birthday, friend.
It is truly wild, Diane, the way that the stars have aligned on November 5th. When the candidates say it's the most important day in history, I truly, truly agree.
They're talking about you, of course.
Of course.
Galen, thank you, friend.
Okay, so
North Carolina, and it's 16 of
49, I believe 49% out of 100 for Mr. Trump, 50% out of 100 for Miss Kamala Harris. Wow, 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 wow. What's going to become of this election? Will we get a woman president? A woman of color in the White House? We've had an African-American male as president 2 terms. Former President Barack Obama. Will we have a brown sister in the White House, or will number 45 get his chance again? Lord help us. Through Monday, November 4th, 83 million Americans had already cast their ballots in the 2024 election. On Tuesday, November 5th, which is today, Election Day, millions more will join them. Their votes this year will matter more than ever, according to 538's forecast for the White House. U.S. Senate and U.S. House control of the federal government is firmly up for grabs. Our final model runs, published at 6 a.m. Eastern on November 5th, which is today, give Republicans a roughly 9 in 10 chance of winning control of the Senate, while the House and presidency are both toss-ups. The race for the White House, in fact, may be the closest presidential election in over a century. Let's start with the race everyone is watching, according to 538's final presidential forecast. Vice President Kamala Harris has a 50 in 100 chance of winning the Electoral College after all votes are counted, which could take a few days. We give former President Donald Trump a 49 in 100 chance to win. Practically speaking, those odds are virtually indistinguishable, about the same as flipping a coin and getting leads versus tails. Getting heads, versus tails. Statistically, too, there is no meaningful difference between a 50 in 100 chance and a 49 in 100 chance. Small changes in the available polling data or settings of our model could easily change 50 in 100 edge to 51 in 100 or 49 in 100. That's all to say that our overall characterization of the race is more important than the precise probability or which candidate is technically ahead. More than any other factor, our forecast is so close because the polls are so close. According to our final polling averages, the margin between Trump and Harris is 2.1 percentage points, or fewer in all 7 swing states. Trump currently leads by 2.1 points in Arizona, 0.9 points in North Carolina, 0.8 points in Georgia, 0.3 points in Nevada. Harris is up by 1.0 point in Wisconsin and in Michigan. And in Pennsylvania, the state that's most likely to decide the outcome of the election, Harris has a tiny 0.2 point edge. But it is worth stressing that the polls will not be exactly correct. Polls overestimated Democrats by an average 3.3 to 4 points in both 2016-2020 presidential elections. For example, the overestimated Republicans by an average of 2.5 points in the 2012 presidential election. Our election model expects polls this year to be off by 3.8 on the average, although it could be more or less. And our model thinks this era is equally likely to favor Democrats as Republicans. In other words, you should not expect polls in presidential races to be perfectly accurate. You should expect them to be as imperfect as they have been historically. And in a race with very narrow advantages for the leader in each key state, that means there's a wide range of potential outcomes in the election. And that's why we've been saying The race isn't necessarily going to be close just because the polls are. Trump and Harris, our model says, are both a normal polling error away from an electoral college blowout. If we shift the polls by 4 points toward Harris, she should win the election with 319 electoral college votes. And here is a map to show you the demographics in the United States. Thank you for joining me. Welcome to the Vault XL. Get you a better look there. Naturally, blue is Democrat, red is Republican. And those are the numbers for the votes, electoral votes. Wow, interesting. So these are our blue states for those of you who have voted Democratic. Washington, Oregon, California, Nevada, Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, Michigan, New York, Pennsylvania, Virginia, North Carolina, Georgia, and then all those other little states on the eastern seaboard. Very interesting. We will see what happens. And then the red, as I said, are Republican. Then we have these numbers here for Maine, 2, 1, and 1, and then Nebraska, then DC. It says, meanwhile, Trump would win with 312 electoral votes if the polls underestimate him by the same amount. So 312 electoral for 45, 319 for Kamala Harris. And there are your stats there. Also, 226 to win, 270. Donald Trump, 312. Hopefully you can see just how uncertain a 50 in 100 chance of winning the election really is when we say the race for the White House. So then it goes on to talk about the House of Representatives. 2022 midterm elections, Republicans managed to win back the majority in the U.S. House of Representatives, but they dramatically underperformed historical expectations, especially in seats where their candidates denied the results of the 2020 election. They ended up just 222 seats, enough to wield a functional majority, and sometimes it wasn't even that functional. According to 538's final House forecast, the Republican Party is in real danger of losing the chamber entirely in 2024. We give them a 49 in 100 chance of controlling the House, while Democrats have a 51 in 100 chance of taking control. But whichever party wins a majority may find it so narrow as to be ungovernable. The median outcome in our forecast is that Democrats win just a 1-seat majority. Yet there is a considerable uncertainty here too, because House polls are subject to a lot of error, and the other indicators that our House uses can be very noisy. Our model thinks there's about 1 in 2 chance that one party wins a double-digit majority. And there is a graph there to show you the numbers. Very tiny. Democrat 85, Democrat 25, same. To win a double-digit majority, Democrats would have to win all of the seats. Our model race is likely Democratic, lean Democratic, and toss up and secure 2 out of the 23 seats we currently rate as lean or likely Republican. Conversely, Republicans would have to win all of their likely and lean seats, all the toss-ups, and 4 seats where Democrats are currently favored. Such performances sound ambitious, but it's common for parties to sweep most or all of the toss-ups when they beat expectations. One final point on where to expect surprises. We already know that we aren't going to pick the right winners in each seat. That's by design. Our goal isn't to pick winners. It's to correctly estimate probabilities. And for us to succeed in that regard, candidates, with a 75 in 100 chance of winning need to win 75 times out of 100 and lose 25 out of 100. Our final forecast rates 66 seats as toss-up, lean or likely based on those districts. Based on how well our model, would have predicted similar races in past elections. We expect 14 of those districts to go to the party that's not favored to win. What's more, we expect 3 upsets in districts rated as solid for either party, which means they have at least a 98 and 100 chance of winning the Senate. And now for the race that is decidedly not close. The race to control the Senate. Our model gives Republicans a 92 and 100 chance of winning control of the upper chamber, which includes scenarios in which they win 51 seats or more, and scenarios in which they win 50 seats, as well as the White House. The vice president breaks ties in the Senate. Republican strength in our forecast comes from their expected wins in reliably red Montana and Ohio, where moderate Democratic incumbents are trying to fend off fierce competition from Republicans. In Montana, the GOP has a 93 and 100 chance of defeating Senator John Tester. In Ohio, Senator Sherrod Brown and 41 and 100 chance of beating Republican businessman Bernie Moreno. And our forecast gives the Democratic candidate in West Virginia, Glenn Elliott, just a 1 in 1,000 chance of holding on to retiring Senator Joe Manchin's seat. And there's also a graphic there for the seat margin. If Democrats lose at least 2 of these seats, which our forecast reckons should happen about 95% of the time, they will need to pick up another seat elsewhere in order to keep their majority. According to our forecast, their best chances of doing so are in Florida or Texas, but they only have a 16 and 100 chance of winning each. That's not nothing. It's about the chance of rolling a standard 6-sided dice and getting a 1 point, but it's still a fairly uphill climb for Democrats. Our final word. This is a good time to remind people that our forecasts are not crystal balls, and especially in a year with races this close, they cannot provide more certainty than the data available to us. The point of creating election forecasting models, as I wrote last week, isn't to provide a hyper-accurate, laser-like predictive picture of the election that removes all doubt about what could happen. Rather, it's to give people a good understanding of how the polls could be wrong and what would happen if they are. In the presidential and House elections, if the polls are off a historically normal amount, either party could come out ahead. In the Senate, the polls would need to be off by more than they were in 2020 in at least one state. That is possible. But given the other information available to us about the seats up for grabs, we think it's unlikely Democrats will hold the chamber. Footnotes. Technically, Harris has a 50.33% chance to win, and Trump has a 49.45% chance to win, and there is a 0.22% chance of an electoral college tie. This is why the rounded numbers appear not to add up to 100%, as well as scenarios in which Republicans win 50 seats and Nebraska independent candidate Dan Osborne wins his seat and chooses not to caucus with either party. That's the set information, everybody. Your voice, your vote. 2024 ABC News is the source. Thank you all for joining me. Welcome to the Vault Excel. Here is your United States map and how it's currently running for Democrats and Republican voters. Thank you. Thank you all. How many of you voted? Since all of you want to tell me who you're rallying for in the chat, did you vote? How about that? That's what the Queen wants to know. Did you all vote? For all of you waving for Trump, did you vote? Did you go to the polls and vote? That's all I want to know. Did you all vote? That's what I'm asking. I'm not talking about Trump. I'm not talking about Kamala. What they did and didn't do. I asked you, did you vote? Did you all vote? Nobody's answering the question. Thank you, dear. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Gigi. I'm not here to debate Kamala or number 45. That's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm not here to debate who did what and didn't do what. I don't have that kind of time. I'm here to ask you, did you vote? Damn, Skylar. You didn't update your address. Yeah, you have to change your address, yes. So whether you're registered or not, you have to give a new address and then get a new voter registration card. Exactly. Thank you, Brooke. Well, right now, from these stats, and they are similar to the stats I read also from the Independent, that Miss Kamala has a short lead as the victorious candidate for U.S. presidency. But as they said, it's a flip. You can never tell until you tally the votes. So we will see who the new United States president, vice president will be at the current moment. But right now, this is a graphic. You're entitled to agree or disagree to the said information in the graphics. Well, this is a pretty much red country. It is what it is. Reason why usually the Senate is red, because most of the people vote Republican in the United States. That's it. It is what it is. If you did not vote, tell the Queen why. Skylar gave her reason. She didn't update her information in time. So, Skylar, why didn't you update your information in time? Did you not really want to vote? Just asking. You can answer, not answer, but I'm curious. Many people are not voting. So, you know, they have their reasons. At one point, I was wondering if I was going to vote. All the House Election Commission to see what was the letter that they sent. And I had to go downtown to redo all my paperwork and everything. Oh, it just pissed me off. I was like, I got to go through all this just to vote? This is just crazy. But they want to verify that you live where you say you live, you know, so, and I don't really see that they verified where I live because I didn't take the mail. I mean, even though I had mail in my purse just in case, but she didn't ask, hey, let me see mail from your current address. You just took me at face value that I live where I say I live. Very interesting. I could have gave any old damn address. Naturally, my driver's license don't have my new address, so that's still a flawed system to some degree. Because nobody even verified my mail. It's crazy. The chat said they by putting it in the drop box. I don't know that we have drop boxes here in Tennessee, voter boxes. I don't recommend that because I just brought you all a story a week ago pertaining to Oregon and Washington having boxes set on fire by a suspect. So you have to be careful. Hundreds of votes are now, you know, possibly in limbo because somebody put a device inside of the box and put a device on the side of a voter box. I had never even heard of a voter box before that I can recollect because I have always voted in person. I've never sent in a vote, you know, by mail because I don't trust the mail. Because my thing is this, if you can't get my mail to me on time, you can put it in somebody else's box, steal the mail, throw it in the garbage. You would do the same for my ballot. And to be just my luck, my poor little ballot don't even make it to where it's supposed to go. Just saying. And then I was just reading the other day about some voter fraud from some Caucasian woman being arrested for voter fraud. I didn't open the article to see exactly what she did, but it's like, well, what could she have done for voter fraud? Take the mail and throw it in the garbage? How did they catch her? What exactly did she do? I didn't open up the content, but it's just ridiculous that anybody would want to tamper with the votes. However, because when I went to vote, you're supposed to fill in the box. It goes through a machine, and the machine's going to tally the vote. Crazy Angela was rushing because I wanted to get it over with last Monday. I put a check in the damn box, and the machine told, nope, you've got to fill it in. The lady says, you got to fill in the whole box. I thought, oh, this is like filling out the SATs. SAT test. You got to pencil in the entire box. That's my fault. I wasn't paying attention. I was trying to get in and get out. I was just ready to get it over with, you know. But that's that. That's the latest, everybody. We will wait to see what happens, who our next president will be. It is a privilege to vote because it's your right. We were given the rights. And that's what many people need to understand, even if sometimes you don't feel like it will count. If it's all about the electoral votes, I get that. You feel like you're not really getting the true vote, which I think it should be vote for vote. Whatever the sheet ballot says, that's how it should run, as a vote for the presidency, vice presidency. I don't think it should be this electoral vote nonsense. I don't really know the logistics into all that. I think I did a little research on that a few years back, but I think it's bullshit. Let the vote count towards the person that is voted for. So if so many million voted for this person or that person, then it should stand at that. That's how it should be, in my opinion. But who am I? If I would have updated my info, I would have voted in person. Well, Scotty, you should have updated, honey. What you gonna do? You're not gonna vote next time? What are you gonna do? You can return via mail or Dropbox. Okay. I think our government has put a divide amongst us that may never go away, but I sure hope it, well, I don't really think it's all the government. I think it's people. We, the people, make the country. So that's what people need to understand about the world. Just like I was saying to myself today. Yeah, I talk to myself, but I don't answer. We, the people, make everything what it is. So we have problems with everything. Okay? We are who we are. Whether it be you're applying for Medicaid, you're applying for aid, you're applying for an apartment, you're applying for a job, you having problems where you live, in your neighborhood, your apartment complex. We are the problem. So we are the injustice. I don't pick groups to say the government, the this, the that. We make the government. The government is just a name. The government is just a name that man gave it, an entity. So it is the state, federal. It's just a name. Just like the color or race you identify, it's just a name. How you act, that's on you. How you behave, that's on you. It's just like a video I was watching the other day of two little bitty toddlers running in the street. And it was a little white baby and it was a little black baby. They were so excited to see each other. I think you know where I'm going with this. They were excited to see each other. That's why they were filmed. You're taught what to think. You're taught things by the people who raised you, your experiences, your background, your neighborhood, the people you come in contact with. All of that is what forms your identity. So when you have these two little children in the street running to hug each other, they don't know black or white. They don't know anything about Republican, Democrat, Independent. They don't know anything about the KKK. They don't know anything about homosexuality, bisexual, transgender, on the down low. They don't know none of that. They don't know nothing. But I'm glad to see you. And I was glad to see that video because it puts me back in my place to say, yeah, we have our ideologies from our experiences. They're babies. They don't have any experience. But maybe one day they'll look at each other and they may not like each other. You understand? All because of what they've been taught and what they heard and what they've seen and their experiences. Because that's how we come to be who we are. Nobody can force you to think any type of way about a Jew, an Arab, a black man, a white man. You came to that decision on your own. Because even in the end, if somebody's beating it down in your head, your brow, think this way, think this way. They're the bad one. They're the bad one. Still your choice to ride the ride. And that's how I view all people. I don't give a damn about really anybody. My thing is, I like you. We get along, we're cool. But don't try to force feed me anything. Don't try to tell me what I should do, how I should think, and what's right and what's wrong. Because then that's when I'm going to have a problem with your ass. So it don't matter what you're talking about. You can be a black man trying to tell me about who to pray, just like somebody sent me something in Messenger today about Jesus didn't teach Christianity or didn't name it Christianity or whatever. I don't want to hear all that because I didn't send for that. You understand what I'm saying? So to me, it's all the same. I don't want you trying to force feed me anything about being Muslim or Allah or whomever. Let me make my own decision. I think how I want to think. Because man gave everything a name, just like I was telling my cousin earlier. Don't try to preach to me about what the Bible said and what God said and what Jesus said. Jesus didn't know anything about what was a car was going to be called a car. They didn't have cars back then. So man gave it that name. So my thing is, what's your point? Seriously. They didn't have cars back then. They didn't have light posts. They didn't have iPads. You know? They didn't have pants, skirts, tops. They were wearing what? Smocks. So they only knew what was at their time. So as time evolved, man gave the world names for things, whether it be a flower, a dog, a cat, a building, himself. Man gave the world its validity. So that's how I view the world. You either accept it or you don't. If you don't think a car is a car, if you think a car is an airplane, then you think a car is an airplane. If you think an airplane is a boat, you see where I'm going? Hey, you're entitled to your opinion of that. But my thing is, please don't send me nothing about what Jesus said and didn't say, and he didn't make up this name for Judaism and Christianity. I don't want to hear all that, because man has given the name for everything that we have, such as gold. He says gold is more valuable than silver. You would know no better than had you not heard it. You understand what I'm saying? That's my point. Man gave the name for Catholic, Protestant, Presbyterian, Church of God, Church of Christ, Church of God in Christ, Jehovah's Witness. You see where I'm going. So it's like, you want to argue this? You want to send this to me in my messenger? I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. I don't hear nothing about that. Because if you're gonna go there, you might as well, just roll over and die if that's the case, because man has named everything that we talk about. Man gave the name for a shoe. Oh, it's a shoe. Put it on. Put that thing on your foot. I'm gonna call it a shoe. You understand what I'm saying? Come on. We're gonna really argue this? It's crazy. Well, good, Joe. He said, I hate all of us equally. Exactly. That's my opinion. Oh, frauds. Okay? We all are shit stirrers. We keep up mess. We're dramatic. As I was talking to my cousin, that's another subject too. We're going to talk about that later after the election. I got to talk to you people about your damn pets. Get a grip. Take your dog for a walk. Your dog don't want to be inside all the damn day. You understand what I'm saying? Your dog is bothering me, so that means the dog is bothered. He wants to get out. She wants to get out, take a walk. Hell, walk your damn dog. You understand? So, hey, that's what I'm trying to let her understand. Today I'm talking about the dog barking, and then later today I might be complaining about men. It's Queen. It's Queen's world. Come on, get serious. We all have our days. What we want to talk about and stress about. But my thing is not letting things get to you to where you lose focus on living. You don't want to stop living. And you don't want anything to disrupt your mindset, your mind flow. And that's what a lot of people do in life. They get hung up on this right here, this graphic, red, blue, and who's right, who's wrong. And you can argue for days on who's better, who ain't better. The point is we're all human, and you can either follow in behind the masses. That's your choice. I don't put people on pedestals. I made that clear to my cousin earlier. There was things that Obama did that I didn't care for. I didn't go out here trying to exact harm and blow up buildings and do crazy shit. I didn't care for the Obamacare, because I feel like nobody should force somebody to go get a medical plan if they can't afford it. Don't you think they'd go get it if they could? So that should be their choice. But the point is, me liking somebody or voting for somebody, it doesn't mean they're going to do what I think they should do. That's just, it's unheard of. And if you think like that, you won't be able to trust anybody if that's the case. Come on, let's be truthful. One person cannot do what millions of Americans think they should do individually. There's just no way possible you can do that. You want the president to change the stoplight in your neighborhood. You want the president to tell everybody to cut their grass and keep a nice lawn and give everybody a bail bond. See where I'm going with this? Come on now. You know, whatever it is you're bitching about for today, it's not possible. And you'd have to be a crackpot to think one human can be Captain Save-A-Ho. There's just no way. You know, as I tell people, you have to start low on the totem pole. The president, they don't know what the hell we're doing down here in Tennessee. They don't know what's going on in Tennessee. Why would the president know what's going on in Tennessee? How in the fuck would I even think the president, excuse my language, would know what the hell's going on in Tennessee? Does Biden know that the historically black college caught on fire last night? Did somebody set the building on fire last night again? Somebody set it on fire last week. Would Biden know that? Of course not. Should I get mad because Biden don't know? No. Because that's not common sense. That's the point I'm making. We as people got to stop getting angry because something bad happened over here and we're mad that the senator don't know, the governor don't know, or I want him to do something about it. I want her to, hell, doesn't even know that it happened. It's common sense. You're talking about a whole state. You think the governor knows everything that goes on in the state of Tennessee? How would he know what's going on? Every little thing. He wouldn't. So if the governor don't know, the senator don't know, how the hell would the president know? So I'm not going to walk around here angry because something I don't like is going on in my own state. But I'm going to get mad at the president. Well, he needs to do something about it. Hell, does he know about it? He's got to know first. And what is the president going to tell me? Well, I think you need to start with your local government. Exactly. It's just the way it is. But that's the latest, everybody. I'm so glad you all tuned in. I'm not going to keep you all. Oh, God, what they got next? Gypsy Rose, I guess she reveals her pre-birth paternity test. Nobody cares. She's another one that needs to get a life, too. Sick of hearing about her and Ryan Anderson. I'm tired of hearing about them jokers. But please check out my extensive library. Under 4,000 videos, 3,000 plus videos in the YouTube queue and shorts. Follow me on the Newsbreak app where I bring you the same type of blunt commentary about local news, breaking news. Every blue moon, there might be a little true crime dropped in there. There's a true crime story I want to bring you. The person already has a guilty verdict, but it is what it is. But also, I do need to relate to you about the school teacher that was murdered a couple years ago in Memphis, a Caucasian lady. They got a guilty verdict in her case. Eliza Fletcher was her name. She was a school teacher down in Memphis, Tennessee. She was jogging on the University of Tennessee at Memphis campus one late morning, and she was assaulted by a black male who assaulted her, kidnapped her, assaulted her, and murdered her and discarded her body behind a abandoned home. Well, he has pled guilty to that said crime, and I'll bring you an update to that. After the elections, I'll do a live about that information, and I'll also post it to my community board. I think I asked you all last week if you all were going to vote or not. So how many people in the chat did vote this 2024 election or will be going out to vote? What British people, an endangered species? Brits. I love the Brits, quite frankly. Everybody knows me. I do like the British people. I love anything about the UK. I love their TV, film. I'll watch any type of program that's filmed in the UK. I just love listening to their accents. And then I like their crime shows. They're just more real to me. Because the UK, their ideology, naturally is different than Americans. They were the type, they didn't mind showing a little bit of nudity on TV because they're just not hung up on those type of things. And that's what's so funny about Americans. People came from the UK to America for a better life, but yet we became stiff and stifling and worrying about what people think, and we're putting up these airs of how we want it to be, the U.S. Caucasian people, and then you end up becoming worse because you're so busy trying to put up airs about how you want to be and perceived by the world, but you have the most problems. And we know this. America has the most drinking and driving, fatality statistics, the highest recidivism rates in the country. But yet people fled to America, or fled to a land rather, to escape religion, politics, and then you ended up becoming the worst humans ever. Isn't that amazing? The world is crazy. It's backwards. All that fleeing, taking the land from the Indians, keeping it real, buying people as slaves to eventually become the worst country known historically. That's a lot to say. But my thing is, it's retribution. God don't like ugly. Because that's an old saying, and I hear people say that all the time about running away. You're running from nothing. And that's true, because I'm a living witness to that. You can move around, and you're trying to get better, do better, maybe try to change your ways, you realize where you ran is where you just left. Same thing with courtships, relationships. You try to pick different people to be around, different company of people, and then yet you see the same type of people, but just a different face, different race, same race. It's all the same, you see. You're not running from anything. Oh, I think I'm going to move over here. It's going to be better. I'm going to move out of town. It's going to be better. Oh, I hope it's going to be better. I think my life is going to be better. And then when you get to that place, you start looking at the people like, this is the same joker I was just around. Because you don't leave anything. Because we, the people, are the problem. That's it. We are the same everywhere. So what's going on in Tennessee is going on in Georgia, going on in New York, going on in Washington State, Oregon, California, Utah, Wisconsin. Filth, trash, muck, murk is going on over there. And that's what we have to understand about the world. We're running from ourselves. Because one, if we don't change our perspective and our response, we're going to have the same problems at the next place. Because 9 times out of 10, you're going to experience the same bullshit at the next place. And as I tell people, there's nothing wrong with having hope. You're hoping for something better in the new place, the new apartment, the new house. You have that right. That's your right. That's your God-given right to expect better, want better. You have that right. But the problem is you got to change your response and your thought process. And you also got to know that where you're going, you're probably going to experience the same type of nonsense, just a different person. And that's what I've seen in my own life. Moving around different places, whatever the reason was I moved, they were selling a property or, non-renewal of a lease or whatever the reasons were. You get to the next place and you're sitting here thinking, damn, these people are just like the last trashy ass people I just left. Same thing with dating. You're hoping and praying you meet somebody different, they act different, they look different. And then you start seeing, I'm seeing the same signs that I saw in the last person. Because people are people, don't matter. They're dressed up, dressed down, got a better paying job, look better. You're hoping for better. And as I said, there's nothing wrong with wanting better. You want a better life, you want a better residence, you want a better car. You want a better man, you want a better woman, you want a better kid. That's your right to hope. There's nothing wrong with having hope. The problem is putting your faith in man. It's in the scripture. You will surely be disappointed. And God meant that. Can't trust people. Nothing wrong with hoping for the best, but that don't mean they are going to reciprocate. And that's why we have this right here. Blue, red. We the people. We are our problem. Problems. We make the world. We make this America. We make the Senate, the House. We make local, state government, federal government. We make the house, the school, the church. We make the neighborhood. We are our problem because we're vastly different. Thank you, darling. Thank you for the super sticker. Thank you, sweetie. We are our problem. And that's the reason why we don't get along. So I don't put nobody above anybody to say who's making me act like this. There's some people who I think do rally and promote violence and promote, a divide. Some will disagree, but in the end, it's your choice to follow in behind a person. You don't have to follow anybody, you know? It's your choice who you follow, who you support. But I'm not supporting anybody that's for, yes, deliberately trying to divide people, inciting hate and rhetoric. That's not somebody I want to vote for. That's not somebody I even want to hear speakers talk. And I don't care who you are. So it don't matter if you're the president, the vice president, you're a senator, a governor, a mayor, or you're the garbage man. I view you the same. And it don't matter your color. You're not trying to make things better. You're not trying to, as I always say on this network, you're not trying to be a part of the solution. Now I don't want to have anything to do with you. And I'm not promoting you. And that's really what's wrong with a lot of us. We promote people who are really no good and they don't care for the people. Because as I said, you can't please people all the time. So it don't matter about somebody being a Republican, Democrat, or independent. You can't put your faith in that person to do what you think they should do on a daily basis. It's just highly impossible. They're only one person. But if they're not promoting peace amongst people, then that's a problem. And then also that tells a lot about you as a person. A lot of people don't want to admit that. But if you're rooting for people that don't promote peace, then to me, you're just like them. And a lot of people just don't want to accept that. I'm not like that way. I'm not like that. And they'll argue you down, of course. Oh, he's not like that. She's not like that. But if they don't ever have anything positive to say about people, don't have anything nice to say about people, how could that be a good person, a good candidate, a good person to represent the country, work in the government? You don't want somebody working for the government that has a bad attitude and nasty. Come on, let's keep it real. They're always inciting arguments with people. And I always tell people they'll talk about their own and douse their own with gasoline, then they will do it to you. And that's something a lot of people don't want to accept. Especially you don't want to accept it about 45. We'll douse your ass with gasoline in a minute and keep on moving. I would never vote for nobody like that, ever. But the point is you don't put your faith in people. It don't matter if they're independent or not. Independent doesn't mean anything. Because an independent person could get into presidency and people still have a problem with that person, so it won't matter. There'll still be a complaint. That's the point. That's my commentary. I'm almost an hour in. I'm going to relax before we tally the votes. So there we have it. But I want to thank you all for following this network, for your support. Please take the polls on my community page. The movie suggestions for this week is a throwback from the 90s. I'm going back in the book, everybody. Whispers in the Dark with Annabella Sciorra and Alan Alda. It's a really great thriller about a psychiatrist and her patients, so please check out that content. Sunday's movie was Deceived with Goldie Hawn. Nice throwback. This whole month will be throwback movies. I'll try to resume regular movies suggestions in December, but right now I just want to do a little nostalgia because I was kind of in my feelings and I was like, man, I miss the 90s. I miss everything really from 90s back to the 70s when things were a little bit more simpler. So I said, I'm going to give the fans a little nostalgia. We're going to have movie suggestions each week from the 90s and the 80s and 70s for those of you who like retro movies. So right now, the movie suggestion for this week is from the 90s, Whispers in the Dark. Please check it out. It's in the YouTube queue. You can either buy it or rent it, but you might be able to find it, on a Roku app. So feel free to go in the Roku app and go in the search engine and pull up Whispers in the Dark. You might be able to find it free on the Roku channel. That's all I got for this live stream. Thank you, Skylar. I appreciate that. Once again, exercise your right as a citizen to vote. It is your God-given right to vote. God has made it possible for man to implement this. As I said before, everything that we discuss, man has designed what's here on earth, let's say, besides the land and the earth, the sky, and the water, and the trees. But everything else, phone device, iPad, computer, you know what I'm saying, the car, man has designed. And he's made it possible for us to go in and vote, voting booths, by poll, by paper. So exercise your right. If you decide you don't want to vote, that's your choice. Many people are, judgmental if you don't vote. Because like I said earlier, I was thinking about damn near not voting, all the trouble I had to go through with paperwork. But I went on and did it because I told myself, you don't want to regret it later. And no matter who wins, you voted, it's over with, it's done. You did what you thought was right at that time. That's really all you can do. But exercise your right to vote. Be heard. You're a United States citizen. And at one point, women couldn't even vote. So it didn't matter if you were a white woman. White women couldn't vote at one time. Let's keep it real. Let's go back in the book of life. This country is majority Caucasian. And at one point in the United States, white women could not vote. So that shows you what men thought of women. That they were just a commodity, an object. White woman couldn't vote, okay? So then women were able to vote. And at one point, naturally, black people couldn't vote. And then that changed. They were able to vote. So we live, as I said, in a cruel society where man has orchestrated everything. That's why the world is the way it is, because man is cocky, he's arrogant, he's greedy. He, woman, children too. They want it their way or the highway. And that's the reason why, as I said, we don't get along, we have differences, we judge each other, we're angry, we're bitter, we're racist, whatever you want to call it. And that's a terrible way to live. What's that? Come on. It's a terrible way to live. And a lot of the people that are racist, they don't like their own people. Let's keep it real. You mad at the black man, the Asian man, the Jew. You just don't like people because you don't like your girl. Mad that shit didn't go their way. Mad about their upbringing. Mad they don't have no money. Mad they're broke. Well, join the club. You got to make this life better. Try to make it better. You're not going to always agree with the government. You're not going to always agree with what they do and don't do. That's why I keep trying to tell people. The government can't appease to everyone. They just can't. Now, there's certain things that need to be implemented. Yeah, we need borders. Should have been had borders. Should have had borders probably 60, 70 years ago. But America, that's an American government problem. I feel bad for the people that border Mexico. People who have farmland, private property, there's no respect for them. Nobody even thinks about that. Passing through, and there's no respect for them. Then they can't even guard their property with a weapon. One older man, I believe, a couple months ago was arrested for shooting at some immigrants crossing through. He don't have control over these people. He don't know what they're going to do to him. But now he's not even regarded as a United States citizen of his own property. See, that I don't agree with that. And see, that's what people need to know, or whatever. I think for Queen, it don't matter what another Democrat thinks and wants. That ain't got nothing to do with me. I don't have to agree just because I want to ride with that party. And I'm sure there are a lot of Republicans think the same. They don't ride with everything the Republicans do. Really, I'm more of a conservative liberal, quite frankly, because I believe in family. I believe in a mother and a father in a household. I believe in traditional way of living. I believe in that. Now, are we flawed and fuck-ups and going to do wrong, break the law? Of course. We're human. But I believe in the traditional way of living. Sitting down at the table, eating dinner, people talking. There are no phones, devices. Nobody's looking at their iPad and iPhone while eating dinner. Everybody eats at a table. You get up, clean your plate, put it in the dishwasher. You say your prayers at night. You go to school in the morning. You act productive in school. You treat people accordingly. But that's the whole point. You're still flawed. But that's what we need to understand about us. We the people. We are flawed. Ask your names. Are we going to want to push people down? Hell yeah. Because we're human. But damn, sometimes try to act right. That's all I'm saying. Make a point of it. So just like when I leave out this little box I live in, I walk out, I don't look at nobody. You're black, you're white. If I don't like the way you look, let me tell you, that's how I look at you. I don't give a fuck if you're Asian, you are white, you black. Your ass look trashy and you talking crazy, I look at you all the same. You talking to yourself, you acting out, I don't care nothing about you being white. I don't care nothing about you being black. I look at you the same and I will call you out. That's plain. I ain't worried about living next to no Asian man. I ain't worried about living next to a Mexican. And respect me. That's what I want you to do. See, that's why everybody got their problems. You stuck up on aesthetics. But I don't want nobody Asian next to me. I don't want nobody black next to me. What do you care? They don't pay your fucking bills. Live for you. That's all you want. Live for you and be respectful. So the Asian want to live next door. He mind his business. I ain't got a problem with him. Mexican live next door. He mind his business. I ain't got a problem with him. Where I got a problem with you is when you get door every day banging, hollering, they raiding, they blocking driveways, you blocking driveways. That's when I have a problem with you. You raising the dead in the apartment complex, that's when I got a problem with you. I don't care nothing about you being no Jew, no Arab. I don't care about none of that. Because that's to me a waste of life anyway. Walking out here worrying about somebody. He's a Jew and she's a Jehovah's Witness and what do you care about that? They're not bothering you, so what do you care? This is what's wrong with us. We got to learn how to block stuff out. As this one guy told me years ago, you got to stop letting people get in your head. He was right. Because that's what's wrong with most of us as people. And that's for people abroad as well. You let people get in your head and you let stupid stuff bother you. What they're doing, what they're saying. So what? They're doing stuff you don't like. So what? They're dressing like you don't like. So what? Talk about it and then push on. Look at it, ignore it, push on. But don't let that be your mind. Every day I see something I don't like. And I talk to myself about it like, what the hell wrong with this food right here? Then I push on. Because I know there's nothing I can do. I can't change it. I'm not going to go out here and lose my mind and risk going to penitentiary because of something you doing stupid. What am I going to do? You want to put a Trump flag in front of your house? What am I going to do? Go bang on the door and tell you, don't put that Trump flag out there. That's you. I ain't going to jail because of a Trump flag. A rainbow flag. Confederate flag. That's you. Just block things out. That's why it's so true. Your mind, I tell people this all the time on this network, your mind is fragile. This is why people pop off and act a fool. Their mind is fragile. And we lead by emotion, how we feel. Oh, I don't like that. I don't like she said that. And she did this. Now we want to get crunk. Now we want to go confront her. And now see, that's the start of a problem right there. You mad because they over here, you worrying about Black Lives Matter. You mattering about Blue Lives Matter. You worrying about this. Now you want to go fight somebody. For what? This lets me know how stupid people are. That they get mad and angry and crunk and want to go excite violence. But then you may want to start talking bad about people that's violent. Just like with all this political shit. You can't be saying, well, I'm a conservative and I don't believe in violence, but you ready to go fight somebody because they don't like Donald Trump. Well, then you just like the people you're talking about. How are you different? You're not. That's that. Pervy, this commentary was from earlier, hours ago. It's basically 312 electoral votes. It's saying, meanwhile, would win if the polls estimated properly for Donald Trump 312. 316 or 319 for electoral votes for Miss Kamala Harris. Basically, she's got a couple points lead on Mr. Trump by this standard here. This was uploaded a few hours ago. She's about 50 out of 100. Trump's at 49 in 100 chance to win. There it is right there. But as they said, anything can change, of course. And then how long it's going to take to count the votes? That may take a couple days. There might be some argument, in the tallying of the votes. You know how that goes. So all this is supposed to be done computerized by machines. So I don't know why there would be a problem, but there's always a problem. You know that. So there you go. There you have it. Well, I'm going to check out of here, but I thank you all for following this network once again. I'll be watching the election tonight unfold. This commentary I brought to you is by ABC News. If you need to verify the information that I brought to you in this commentary, it's 538's final forecast for the 2024 election. But once again, you know this is a United States election. Anything can vary in the votes. Got to pray that there is no tampering with anything, voter fraud. Naturally, there are going to be people who are going to assume that there is, and allegations that somebody's done something they don't have any business, but praying that nobody's done anything to any machine, device, paperwork, or ballots. Just got to pray. And we will see who will be the next United States president and vice president. Praying for this great country, praying that we'll be in a better place the next 4 years. But as I said, we are the people, and we are the problem, and we could be better than what we are. It's just all about attitude and disposition and how we respond to a given situation. So this is the reason why we are divided. It's because, one, we're all free thinkers. Some of us are not free thinkers. Some of us lead by being followers, and that's really a lot of people's problems. They're followers. They're not leaders. They can't think for themselves. They can't navigate for themselves. So if you're that type of person, you're going to always have a problem, and it won't have anything to do with red or blue. If you can't navigate for self, you're your own worst enemy, because you have to be able to stand for yourself. As they say, if you don't stand for anything, stand for something, you'll fall for anything. That's the truth. That's it. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $Big 129 Cash App. Dolly, thank you for the super sticker. They are always welcome during the live stream, stickers and chats. I will try to come back on a little bit later if I can. If not, I'll discuss this election tomorrow, because I don't want to be up here hour for hour. I'd rather wait till they start doing the count if I come back on live, and we just watch it together to see who the next president, vice president will be. You all have a wonderful evening. God bless all of you. You have been listening to the Vault XL. Thank you for your time.